chancellor and de facto ruler of England, what with King Edward giving his favourite anything his favourite desired, Adam was a traitor. Despenser insisted that Adam had helped Lord Mortimer escape, which was true, but fortunately there was no proof, and Despenser's attempts to have Adam arrested and turned over into his own tender care for further interrogation had been foiled, twice by the Earl of Pembroke and once by the Queen herself, and thank the Lord for that. Kit had no illusions as to how her husband would fare in Despenser's hands. Ever since Roger Mortimer's escape, the kingdom of England had sunk into a state of terror. The King and Lord Despenser lashed out viciously against anyone potentially involved in Mortimer's escape, and over the last few months countless men had been dragged before assizes, attainted and gruesomely executed, based on the fact that they had once served Roger Mortimer. Rotting corpses adorned gibbets all over the southwest of the country, and destitute widows and orphans were evicted from their homes, left to starve and die during the approaching winter. The King's rage spilled over onto others as well. London merchants known to be Mortimer supporters had been severely punished, and recently the bishops of Hereford and Lincoln had been accused and found guilty of helping Mortimer. Kit shook her head. So many men whose lives were permanently impaired on behalf of Roger Mortimer. And Hugh Despenser was not done. He intended to use Mortimer's escape to rid himself of every enemy he had in England. Kit suppressed a little shiver and threw a hasty look over her shoulder. Lord Despenser was here, in residence with the King, and even if she had so far not encountered him, she knew it was but a matter of time before she'd be confronted by his dark eyes, his wet mouth, and his wandering hands. Kit clasped her hands together, remembering all too well just how violent Lord Despenser could become, should he be sufficiently riled. "Watch out!" Kit stumbled. Adam's hand flew out, gripping her by the elbow, and thereby stopping her from overbalancing down the short flight of stairs. "Use your eyes, sweeting," he said, with a little smile, sliding his hold down from her elbow to clasp her hand instead. She pressed herself against him, an affectionate gesture that had him tightening his hold on her hand, his lips brushing briefly at her brow. They hastened on. Kit had a stitch up her side, and at one point she had to stop, clutching at her rounded belly. Her hand smoothed the cloth that covered their growing child, an inactive babe that gave her very little trouble beyond the odd pang of pain in her lower back. Adam gave her a concerned look. "You should not have come," he said. "A woman great with child does best staying at home." She gave him a level look. "I wanted to." Kit straightened up and hurried on. Twice this autumn Adam had been called to court at the behest of his lord, the young Edward of Windsor. Twice Kit had spent her days in constant anxiety, fearing the summons was only intended to lure Adam into Despenser's waiting hands. So, when the royal messenger had come riding down their lane some weeks back, demanding that Adam de Guirande attend his lord over Christmastide, Kit had insisted on coming along, no matter how great with child she might be. After all, she'd told him, he had promised her that he would never leave her behind again. A futile promise, she knew, as Adam had little say in how his life was ordered, but he had promised. At present she harboured certain regrets. She would have preferred spending the middle of winter at Tressens, in the comfort of their own manor, and surrounded by their loyal household. But Adam had no choice, so here they were. "Here." The page boy leading the way came to a halt, gesturing at a small door set discreetly into the wall. "Very much subterfuge?" Kit murmured. "It's best that way," Adam replied, just as low, before stepping aside to allow her to enter first. After the dark of the passage, the room Kit entered was surprisingly bright. The windows that gave to the east were unshuttered and set with precious glass, allowing the soft light of the impending dawn to spill into the room. There were lit candles everywhere. The fire in the hearth had recently been rekindled into crackling life, and standing in the centre of the room was the Queen herself. She was just as beautiful.